Greg Stone every Sunday night from 9 till midnight with the best in classic and contemporary progressive rock, jazz, fusion, and local rock and roll. But tonight, I'm going to do a Genesis special for you for the whole 3 hours, conversation and music in honor of their appearance at Oakland Stadium coming up this Saturday night, first time in 6 years. So let's celebrate. Why not? 98.5 KOME, San Jose in the Bay. Let's begin. Now, you all have successful solo careers, I might add. And when and how do you decide to write material as Genesis? How do you pull this off?
Well, it's not very hard. I mean, first of all, you fix the date. We finished the last Genesis tour, 87, and we sort of, in our minds, we had the intention to make another album, but no dates fixed. And then round about 1991, we'd done solo things, so the time kind of looked right, and we fixed the date for March 91 this year. We go into the studio, and as you may or may not know, the last few Genesis albums, we just tend to take no material in. Doing all the solo projects, you've got the chance on the one hand to go and do songs and finish them off the way you like them. And so this time at Genesis, it's always nice to be able to have the input from the others, and we just go in with no material and write and improvise and mess around, and from all those jamming sessions, the beginnings of songs come, and we sort of build up bits and songs until the part of an album takes shape. Pretty much it.
How long did it take to write We Can't Dance?
Well, the actual writing period took about 2 months, really, to write the music that's ended up on the record, plus a couple of extra tracks and things, and then a little bit longer after that to do the lyrics and to finalise things. And a little bit of writing does go on while we're recording, I suppose, in terms of sort of embellishing and stuff, but the basic material was all written in 2 months.
Was your busy solo careers the reason why it was 5.5 years since Invisible Touch, between that and We Can't Dance?
Well, I guess, yes, it was, really. I mean, there was no other reason I can think of. I mean, I started acting in that period, seriously, and so that added another sort of element to the picture. But we kind of wanted a bit of time off, I think, from the band. I mean, we did the Invisible Touch album and tour, and the tour was very long, and we just let things hang for a little while. I mean, there was never any question about us coming back together again. I mean, we never split up secretly and then reformed secretly. We actually, we knew the band would be there. It's just that we wanted to get a few things out of our system, I guess, before we did another band album.
Getting out your crystal ball, do you foresee this happening again, 5.5 years between the next album?
Well, it's always difficult to know. We make no kind of predictions. It's one of the reasons I think why the band has been in existence for a long time, is because we don't have any great master plans. We don't sort of look ahead too far, so we can able to adapt to each sort of new situation as it comes up. But from the point where we stand at the moment, we have every intention of making another record. We really enjoyed making We Can't Dance. We do feel it's sort of a really strong album, and we feel we're sort of writing as good as ever, so we'd really like to do another one.
To 86. Okay, I did a conversation with Phil Collins that's never, ever been aired before. And let's continue on Stone Trek, 98.5 KOME. Phil, what was it like to step out from behind the drums to be the new lead singer of Genesis after Peter Gabriel left?
It was a strange move to make, because I always heard the band from behind the drum kit, and I never really wanted to be a singer, to be honest. I was quite happy doing backup vocals and the odd thing, but no, I never really had any inkling to be a singer at all. It was only basically the band couldn't find anybody else, and the Trick of the Tail was finished. I'd done the singing on the record, and I thought, well, this would be good fun, but I can't imagine what it's going to be like standing in front of a microphone. It was just totally alien to me. And the first gig in London, Ontario, which is in Canada, I remember thinking, I wasn't so much worried about the singing, but what people would think about me, talking to them. It's just a very important thing, talking to the audience and getting some kind of thing going. So that was the biggest deal for me. It was strange, but it soon sort of seemed to fit. It didn't feel out of character for long.
Phil, for years, Genesis has used supplementary musicians like drummer Chester Thompson and guitarist Daryl Sturmer on stage. Why haven't they been on any of the Genesis albums?
It's It's really just time and place again. We do albums in England. Chester lives in LA and Darryl lives in Milwaukee. So when we go in to write an album, we're actually, especially the last two albums, we're writing as we go along. We're writing as we go along and recording as we go along. And so it gets made, the music gets made and recorded very organically, if you like. And there's never any time when we say, well, listen, let's wait a couple of weeks, let's get Chester over and do it with him. It's unfortunate because, you know, they are part of Genesis. You know, it's a shame that they never get a chance to be on the album. But really, the three of us, you know, we're not afraid to make. It's a very, very strange way we write and record. I mean, it's a true group, and you know, there's all kinds of weird things go on that I don't think anybody else. It would be strange for anybody else. You know, it'd be strange for us to have anybody else around, even though Chester and Dowell sort of couldn't get closer to us. I don't think. It's just something we've not resisted, but just circumstances have always gone in the way, really.
Super Shop stores everywhere. Don't you miss it.
The Stone Trek Genesis special continues on 98.5 KOME. Are there any songs or material that were left over from the We Can't Dance sessions, as you're famous for?
Yep, we had 2 tracks that were finished recording, and they didn't end up on the album because of time, really. It was one of the tracks I'd have liked to have on, I must admit. But it's, you know, we've got many tracks left over the years, and I think in England these tracks are going to turn up as B-sides on the singles. Whether that happens over here or not, I'm not absolutely sure. There was a slightly different attitude to it over here. But they're good tracks. They weren't left off because they're weaker. They really, in this case, they really could have been on the album and been just as strong, I think. Sometime in the future, we hope to put together some sort of album of all those bits and pieces that have been left over from all the albums. It probably amounts to about sort of 25 tracks now, I should think. And it could be quite interesting little thing to have at some point.
Oh, Tony, thank you for answering my next question. I was just going to ask you about an album of B-sides that I've been hearing about in the rumor mill.
Well, we've talked about it quite a few times, and I suppose, you know, since it's something that people would like. We want to make certain that when people know that when it comes out that that's what it is. We don't want people to sort of think that they're getting a new album of new songs or anything, you know. But it'd be a fun thing for us to do. I mean, I quite like it anyhow, because it's a lot of those songs, you know, I haven't already got a copy of, because they're on B-sides of singles that I haven't got, you know, myself. So
we're going to make it for Tony.
For some of these titles, well, I don't know. We've got a couple of songs. Vancouver is one. None of us can remember how it went at all, actually. Maybe somebody can sing it to us and then we'll remember. But there's 2 or 3 others like that, and it would be quite fun to hear them.
Well, I have them all if you want to borrow any of them.
You're listening to the best in progressive rock on Stone Trek with Greg Stone on 98.5 KOME, San Jose.
98.5 KOME on Stone Trek there with Genesis. 3 songs in a row there, all B-sides. On the Shoreline from the single We Can't Dance. That was left off of the We Can't Dance album, but available on the We Can't Dance CD single. There we go. And Feeding the Fire before that from Genesis, and the flip side of Land of Confusion from 86. That's not on any albums either. And Nama Nanu is what we started this thing off with. That's all. It's on the flip side of that from 81. And a little chit-chat with the guys from December of last year. I'm Greg Stone, and we're doing a Stone Trek Genesis special. That's right, with conversation and music with Phil Collins, Tony Banks, and Mike Rutherford in honor of this Saturday night's concert in Oakland. It's been 6 years, so we got to do something, you know. But it's worth it. I like doing things like this. And I'll be playing some of the songs that they'll be playing this Saturday night. Not the 3 I just played, obviously. They're not going to do that. But a lot of the stuff I'm doing tonight, actually so far everything I've played tonight they're going to be doing, except way back there, the first song, I believe. Anyway, let's continue. Got lots to do. Too much to do. And things are going to get heavy. Okay. Here's another CD single. There's a live version of Home by the Sea you can find on the back of Hold On My Heart, the latest CD single. So let's do that. 98.5 KOME. Where else? On Stone Trek. Genesis still feel an affinity with your progressive roots?
These words, sort of progression, progressive music and all that, we're not quite sure what is progressive. Radio needs these kind of categories. I don't know. Musicians don't really need them. We just really, we go into a studio and we write, we start playing, we start playing, we put our hands on the keyboards and I program a drum machine or sit down at a drum kit, Mike will sit down and we just write and we just play. And whatever comes out is whatever we've experienced really between the last album and this album. And it gets to the point where it's hard to say, we don't really think, is this album as progressive as the last one? It's just like, it is naturally a progression because time has gone by and water's gone under the bridge. But it really is, it's a hard thing to sort of say whether it's progressive or not. Some people would say that we were more progressive when we were thinking more lyrically about some stuff. The songs were more, little stories, fairy stories or whatever. And now people might say we're much more of a straight-ahead pop group. I don't think we are, but it depends on your definition of the word progressive. One man's progressive is another man's retrogressive.
Phil, the more recent Genesis albums seem to be going in a commercial pop direction, like the Genesis album in Invisible Touch. Is this the trend?
We've always written songs like Invisible Touch to me. I Know What I Like was like Invisible Touch. It just maybe wasn't as good a song in terms of what I like, but to me we've always written short songs. People have always emphasized the fact that we've written, we're just as interested, put it this way, as writing 9, 10, 11-minute songs like One for the Vine, 11th Earl of Mar, Firth the Fifth, Cinema Show, as well as things like I Know What I Like. There's been short songs on Foxtrot, Nursery Crime. People just don't seem to think that, they don't remember those, they just remember the big stuff. And I think we're just getting a bit more concise in what we're doing. I don't think we just got our head, in what's happening today. I don't want to go around playing. I don't want to go. I go and see bands like Yes, and everyone still wears the Cosmic stuff, and it's not what I want to do. And it's fine if they want to do it because I've always got a soft spot for Yes, but it's like they're doing what they're doing, almost what they were doing then, but now. And I just want to change. We just never consciously change. Abaca was probably a conscious change in what we were doing, but basically we're just interested in writing songs, and the songs can be like Invisible Touch, or they can be like Tonight, 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 which is more what I would call traditional Genesis. But we probably have alienated a few people that think we've sold out. Just because more people want to come to the concerts, more people buy the albums, people assume automatically that you've gone commercial. In fact, it really is just as much a case of more people liking you. It's not really my fault that more people like us now than. So I hope we haven't, alienated too many people, because obviously the loyal fans, people we've appreciated their support all over the years. So.
The guys from December of '91. As I get it all ready to go here, 98.5 KOME on Stone. In retrospect, the basic Genesis way back since '66, and the first album came out in '69, and Phil joined in '71 at Nursery Crime, and Steve left in '77. Going back, you've done 17, I believe, legitimate albums. Any thoughts about the past? Do you ever think about that?
Not really. I think, to be honest, I'm having more fun now than I was 17 years ago on the first album. I think, we were pretty intense and very serious about it, which we still are, but we seem to have a lot more humour in the way we work these days, and I think it makes it, I think it shows in the music, to be honest. It's interesting, actually, we do some interviews, as we have recently, and you start talking about the old albums, and I'm actually getting quite curious, because I haven't heard any of this stuff for a long time. So when you discuss favourite ones, or favourite old tracks, or albums you didn't like, you tend to be using your imagination on how you remember the song sounded. I wouldn't mind hearing some of these old songs, just seeing how they do sound.
They still stand the test of time, believe me.
Good. Oh, then I went
on. On your road to success in America, as you can recall, any particular thing?
Well, I think the most obvious thing was the Follow You, Follow Me, which was a sort of single, as a release, because up to that point the band was very popular with a small crowd of people, I suppose, and then Follow You, Follow Me was a sort of minor hit single, and it kind of opened it up a bit for us, I think, and which we followed up obviously with the next album, Duke, and we started actually having sort of top 10 singles and things, and this has the advantage of just being able to make a lot more people aware of our music, really. I don't think there was a particular radical change of music at that point or anything. I just think that suddenly we had a couple of hit singles, and so people went out and bought the album, whereas before we hadn't had hit singles and they hadn't. But in a way it publicised the whole of our catalogue, and we're sort of proud of all the music in a way, so that was a good thing to happen.
That sets up our next segment here. An interview with Tony Banks from 1978 coming up here in a second or two. Version there as well. Guys, anyway, I'm Greg Stone, and this is Stone Trek. That's true. Every Sunday night from 9 till midnight with the best in classic and contemporary progressive rock, jazz, fusion, and local rock and roll, except tonight we're doing Genesis for 3 hours, 9 to midnight, with a special conversation and music with Phil Collins, Tony Banks, and Mike Rutherford in honor of the concert this Saturday night at Oakland. It's been 6 years. I'm playing some of the things that they'll be doing this Saturday night. And there are constantly changing songs on tour, so things are maybe a little different. But anyway, you get the picture. You get the picture. Should be a hot show. And I do have a couple fast announcements here before we continue. Camel, that's right, Camel will be at the Cabaret in San Jose Saturday night, August 15th. Tickets are on sale right now. They just went on sale. That's right, you heard me correct. Camel. I'm not kidding. It's true, it's true. And Emerson, Lake and Palmer dates will be in Sacramento. They'll be September 1st at Cal Expo, September 2nd at Concord Pavilion. I don't think they're on sale yet. And I did have a talk with Fish. You don't know who he is. He used to sing with Marillion. I did talk to him Friday. He called me. I did not tape anything. I couldn't, just as well, I couldn't play it anyway. What he had to say, I'll be filling you in on that next week if I can remember. But don't forget, Camel tickets went on sale yesterday, I believe it was. August 15th at the Cabaret in San Jose. Believe it or not, their only Bay Area appearance. Only appearance at all, I think. Guess they're going to go to Japan. Okay. Oh, man, so much to do. I'll be back after this.
What you see, what you...
Stone Trek this evening we're doing a Genesis special for you from 9 till midnight. Let's go back to 1978. You have to put this into perspective. In 1978, April 1978, this interview took place, and Seconds Out, their live album recorded on the 77 tour, had come out about 4 months before, 5 months in November of 77, and then there were 3 came out, I believe, in March of 78, so they're pretty close together. So at this time of the interview, these 2 albums were pretty much at the forefront, and the quality of the tape recorder that I had at the time was not so hot, but you can still hear everything. Hey, 1978, what do you want? So let's continue. This is an interview with Tony Banks that I did in 98.5 KOME on Stone Trek. On First the Fifth, the piano part, of course, wasn't there on Seconds Out, and when you did that, that's because it was just too much trouble to bring up a piano. It was a grand piano.
I'm in fact using yes, there's a grand on the thing. I'm using a grand on stage now, in fact. Well, not probably. I'm using the Yamaha electric grand, which is a sort of a really nice kind of substitute for a grand piano. So if we're doing First Fifth now, I might have been doing that intro. But to be honest, in these big kind of venues like this, things like solo piano don't really work very well. It works great in Europe, because in Europe, well, it's difficult. You see, in Europe, they're much quieter audiences are. During songs, they will really listen, very attentive. The trouble is when you're doing these big gigs, there always seems to be a sort of fringe number of people who will, I don't know, make an awful lot of noise, which doesn't work for the soft songs.
Well, how do you go about picking all the material to play?
For stage,
live,
we just play first thing we do is we go through the new album to see what we feel we are either able to play or we feel will be effective on stage, And then once we've done that, we have to work out, go through sort of what sort of classic ones we want to have in the set, you know, like Volcano Los Endos and Squonk and, you know, a few others like that. And then once you've decided on all those, then you just find out how much time you've got and how much you've got left and how many other songs you want to do, you know. And we've been keen for a long time to do ripples on stage. We wanted to try things like Salmasis and In the Cage. You know, we tried one or two other things as well. We tried the Grand Parade of Lifeless Packaging. Didn't work at all. Doesn't work very well isolated, that, actually, from the album. A few other things, you know, we tried and rejected, and then we ended up with this particular set.
What about the audience in England? You know, when you're playing before an English audience compared to a U.S. audience?
Depends at what stage. You know, we've played English audiences at all stages. I mean, we've had audiences as small as 3. We've played clubs, you know, where we sort of had to set up in sort of two lines, you know, because there isn't enough room on the stage to sort of fit us on, even when we had a very small amount of equipment. I mean, so we've played right from the very bottom in England. And with the whole thing about England, we found that it's when the audience is, either the audience knows you and is therefore keen on you, or if the audience is there and is prepared to give you a chance, just as attentive for a short time, that they get really absorbed and they can be really, really quiet, and, you know, they really get extremely enthusiastic. But they don't tend to make much noise during the numbers at all. In fact, I mean, you know, in London particularly nowadays, the audiences tend to be extremely quiet. But that's the big problem over here, I think, for a group like us. We find we do a lot of quiet stuff, and you know, just a couple of guys whistling, you can ruin it. You just shatter a mood. It's like something you've built up, something that's almost tangible, you know, and then a guy whistles, and you just sort of feel it crash into the ground, you know. And the musicians all lose interest, you know, and the rest of that song is just a sort of going through the motions. And that's a shame, because I mean, in amazing places like sort of Spain or something, they actually go to the other extreme. If someone makes the slightest noise in the audience, the whole rest of the audience goes shh, like that.
Wow.
I mean, you know, that also is absurd, I think. You've got to have somewhere in between. In France, what they do is any time anything happens on the stage that they like, they'll go berserk and all applaud madly, and which means you get applause all the time during certain songs, you know. But then they'll keep absolute dead silence for certain passages. Particularly if it is a quiet passage, and that's very nice too. Audiences vary though, you know. I mean, sometimes the sort of power and excitement you can get from certain American audiences is like nothing you can get elsewhere, just because they are more vociferous, I think.
Is France why you, the crowd, is that particularly why you chose to record Seconds Out? Use the material 4 seconds out on?
From the Paris gigs, well, we knew they'd be good ones, from the point of view of audience and things. But we also, it was at a good stage. It has one advantage that it's near to England, yet it's out of England, which is important for tax reasons, to do it outside England. It gets silly, all that side of it. And we'd also, by that stage, we'd played quite a lot, and so we were playing quite well. So it just fitted in quite well with our plans, Paris. We were also there for a few days. We did about 5-6 gigs or something there, all in the same place, and then all the recording equipment could be left up there for 6 days without having to take it down, and that's important too.
Out of all the Genesis albums, do you have one that stands out as your favorite?
Well, it's difficult that. I tend to think of albums more in terms of songs than albums, and I find that, as I said really, I mean, I think Foxtrot's a very strong album, and I think Lamb Lies Down's very strong, and I think all the last 3 have been, you know, as well. So, I mean, I've said 5 of our albums already, you know. I would say that what I'm really saying is that I think perhaps Nursery Crime and Selling Them by the Pound are slightly weaker than the others, just because they're not quite as consistent. But, you know, in both cases, like particularly with songs like Musical Box, Fountain of Salmasis, and Cinema Show, and Firth of Fifth, you've got what I consider 4 of our strongest songs, and they are on those 2 albums. So, I mean, I think those albums have kind of got lots of very high points and very low points, whereas an album like Lamb Lies Down is much more consistent, I think.
Is that why you put Firth of Fifth and Cinema Show on Seconds Out?
Yeah, well, they're both very strong live numbers.
Resurrect these, yeah.
They were I mean, you know, I'd say that Firth of Fifth were, along with Supper's Ready, those are the 2 key tracks on the last tour. That's why we've dropped them both for this tour, actually, to try and give ourselves a few more challenges, you know, because it's nice to kind of, and this tour is kind of, their place has been taken, but we put back Cinema Show into the set, and with songs like Afterglow, and obviously Volcano Los Endos, and things like that, you know, you kind of got all the builds you need. So we find the set works quite well, because we were introduced to just a few older tracks that we haven't in fact done either for a long time or haven't never done before. Like we're doing Ripples on stage now, which is a song we've never tackled before.
Right.
And things like In the Cage from Limelights Down, you know. Just trying just a few different things just to see it, because I think a lot of people didn't understand the Lamb. They felt it was just sort of one long kind of splodge that they couldn't really sort of understand, you know. And what we've been trying to prove ever since really is there are lots of little songs, we take them off individually, that are just really nice on their own, particularly Carpet Crawl, and obviously the title track itself.
Right.
But even a song like In the Cage, which is a sort of longer thing and slightly more involved, it still works very well, isolated from the album.
While we're on the Lamb last down, how did you come across Brian Eno for that album?
His contribution to the album was minimal, actually.
Yeah,
I often wonder
yeah.
why we even credited him, because what he did was very little.
Confused everybody.
Yes, it did. It confused a lot of people, I think. We came across him because he worked at Island. He was involved at Island Studios where we were doing the album, you know, and I think he was up in the other studio doing some things, and Peter invited him down just to do a few effects on the vocals. And basically that's what Eno did. He did those effects on the Grand Parade of Lifeless Packaging, the sort of funny effects on the vocals, and also on In the Cage. That's really all he did.
All right, let's continue with more. I believe this is Phil Collins right here. 98.5 KOME on Stone Track. You have any comparison of progressive rock 20 years ago to today?
Well, progressive rock then, I mean, I probably shouldn't be saying this to you, Greg, because I mean, I'm sure you're a fan of some of these bands that I don't like, but I mean, there's certain bands that we got stuck together with, like ELP and Jethro Tull, Floyd, Moody Blues, and Yes, you know, and varying degrees of, you know, I like some of the stuff of some of those bands, but 90% of the time I kind of felt that we weren't very similar to those groups. We were compared to them mainly because of instrumentation. We had synthesizers and things, so that we put them in that box as opposed to being in a guitar trio box, you know. So I don't know. I think we've grown a lot. Some of those bands have sort of come back in various stages of their career. I mean, Yes are sort of still doing the business, but mainly on the strength of their past. And the Floyd, you know, that they're still doing it. But I think we've moved on an awful lot from that musically, because I mean, I think Genesis is really a name that we've given to ourselves. But we're three songwriters, you know, and the material is the most important thing to us.
98.5 KOME on Stone Trek, wrapping it up with One for the Vine from Genesis, recorded live from a tape. It's not available in live form anywhere. It was on Wind and Wuthering in its original studio form. And Phil Collins' parting words there, the end of the interview that I had with the whole band in December, 6 months ago. Anyway, I'm Greg Stone, and Stone Trek normally is every Sunday night from 9...